Welcome back to the Lonewolf GT and my Kings of War tournament coverage. Today we have a matchup between two competitors that would find themselves at the top two tables, and one of them would eventually take home the championship. In this matchup, we have Steven's Ratkin and Jeff's Ogres, and it's coming up next on Miniature Game Montage. Thanks so much for joining me. I do have some additional Kings of War battle reports coming up soon, so be sure to subscribe for more action. If you would like to support the channel, you can leave a like on this video so others that enjoy Kings of War might find it helpful. Let's get down to the lists. Steven's Ratkin have a regiment of warriors and 2 hordes with plague pots, 3 troops of claw shots, a regiment of tunnel runners with brew of sharpness, 3 weapon teams, 2 mutant rat fiends, a brood mother with conjurer's staff and blight staff, Mother Kryza, and Scud-Kazluk demon spawn. In total, 18 unit strength and 2290 in points. Jeff brings the Ogres with a red goblin rabble regiment, 2 regiments of warrior chariots, a horde of boomers, 2 hordes of hunters, 1 with warbow of Kabah, a regiment of berserker braves, a red goblin blaster, Sir Jesse's mammoth, an ogre warlock with conjurer staff and drain life, a mounted sergeant with blade of slashing, a berserker bully, Kuzlo and Madfall, and Namagarok. In total, 24 unit strength and 2300 points. Today we are playing the Bullseye. Players will roll off and deploy up to 15 inches from their board edge. Victory conditions are pretty simple in this one. All units fully within 6 inches of the center of the board score ×3 unit strength. All units fully within 12 inches score ×2 unit strength, and all units fully within 18 inches of the center score at their unit strength. There are some bonus objectives to look after, +3 points if you control more table quarters than your opponent, +1 if your ranger/wolf model is within 6 inches of the center, +1 for having more heroes in your opponent's deployment zone than your opponent does in yours. Speaking of the Lone Wolf Lone Ranger character, those units are specific to this tournament and will be on the board today. One is more shooting based and the other is more melee based. And with that, we're ready to begin. This is Game 3 of Kings of War on this channel, and it's about to get spicy. And turn 1 getting underway, we go over to the Ratkin for the top of the turn. The demon spawn will push forward, pivoting ever so slightly. The tunnel runners are going to push up beside him, and then we will start to see the main lines move as the Ratkin start to move up warriors and some of their rat fiends to form the center. As the regiment of warriors moves up on the right flank, they will be supported from behind with a weapons team, as well as Mother Kryza moving up behind them as well. The brood mother will move down the hill, tucking in behind the warriors, and then weapons teams will move up, securing the left flank, and then the Lone Ranger will move up behind them, giving them support. The claw shots will remain stationary. And in the shooting phase for the Ratkin, the demon spawn does a lightning bolt going into the berserker braves looking for 4s, and it looks like he is going to apply 4 wounds to the berserker braves. Mother Kryza on the other flank is going to target the Lone Ranger, needing 6s due to cover as well as being an individual, and those shots are going to miss. We will then see claw shots take a shot at the Lone Ranger as well, also needing 6s. And all of those shots are going to miss as well. The rest of the claw shots are going to take shots at the boomer horde, and there'll be 10 shots needing 5s. We're going to go to the banner cam on this one.
5s.
5s on these.
What the f***? is that? Holy.
And defense 4 or 5.
That's totally reasonable. Defense 4.
So
Holy
2s? Alright. That looks like 5.
5 wounds going on to the
That
boomers.
is ridiculous.
Nice.
And there you have it. 10 shots needing 5s gets 7 hits, results in 5 wounds. Nerve test going out on the Berserker Braves. They are good. Nerve test on the Boomer Horde. They are good as well. Over to the Ogres for turn 1. All right, and then the movement phase. Cuzlo will make his way up the left flank. And then he will be followed by the Lone Wolf, going up the left flank as well, giving him support. In the middle, we've got hordes of hunters that are forming up the center and moving forward. And then on the right flank, we have warrior chariots that are moving up, followed by the Berserker Bully. The sergeant that is mounted is going to back up, reposition just a little bit. The boomers are going to move forward, pivot, and then move again, and they will be flanked by the Red Goblin Blaster. And then continuing moves, the Ogre Warlock as well as Namagarak are going to move. He did reposition some of these hunters after initially moving them. And then we move down to where the Red Goblin Rabble will move up. They will be followed by the Berserker Braves as well as the Mammoth. And this brings the movement to a close. In the shooting phase, Namagarak will cast a heal. He gets 1 extra die, so 5 going out. And he will get 2 of these that go through, needing 4s, taking wounds off the boomers. And then we've got a lightning bolt going into the warriors. 4 dice go out. All of these hit, needing 4s. And then only 2 are going to cause wounds at piercing 1. And then the hunters will fire the Warbow of Kaba. It is going to hit on a 6, and Jeff is going to show you how not to roll a die. Ah, God. So re-rolling that back out, there will be no wound here. And that will bring us to the end of turn 1. We'll quickly move back over to the Ratkin for turn 2. After a quick shot of the board here, the Demon Spawn is going to move up. The Tunnel Runners are also going to move up, repositioning slightly. The group of Warriors are also going to move. On the opposite flank, we have a Weapons team that is moving. Mother Krysa will adjust to keep him within 6 inches. And we've got Warriors that are going to shuffle around. Rat Fiends are going to move up as well, pivoting inward to kind of open up those angles a little bit. And then back to the center lines, the Broodmother is going to pivot. She's going to move up a little bit and pivot again because she is nimble. And then we've got another weapons team that will move up behind Warriors. The Lone Ranger will move up as well. And then we are going to go into the shooting phase. All right, in the shooting phase, Mother Krysa will fire a lightning bolt over at Cuzlo. It is piercing 1, 5 dice going out. It will result in 5 hits, needing 4s. And then this will result in 3s to wound, defense 4, so only needing 3s. And then claw shots will also shoot at Cuzlo. It is piercing 2, 5 more shots going out, and we'll only get 1 hit on these, but that will result in a wound. The weapons team will then follow that up with shots of their own at Cuzlo, and 10 dice going out. 7 of these are going to connect. It is piercing 1, so that takes him down to 3s, and 2 wounds go through. Next up, the Broodmother will shoot at the Hunters. 5 dice going out, and this is piercing 1. 2 of these will connect, and defense 4 will be 3s to wound. 2 wounds will go through. On the flank, the Demon Spawn will fire a lightning bolt down at the Boomers, and 5 shots going out there, needing 4s. 4 of these connect, and piercing 1, 3s needed to wound. That results in 4 more wounds onto the Boomers. That's then followed by claw shots, 10 of these also going into the Boomers, and the average hits, so 5 will go through. Piercing 2 results in anything but 3 wounds. Nerve checks coming across in the shooting phase, and the Boomers, this will be a big one here. They are going to be just fine, and then we will also roll for the Hunters. They are good as well, and also Cuzlo rolling up for him, and he is wavered. Back over to the bottom of 2 for the Ogres, and a charge from the Lone Wolf into the weapons team. Cuzlo is going to take a regen, 6 dice coming out, and it looks like 2 will be regened off him, needing 5s. He will then do a move backwards, which he is eligible to do when wavered. The Berserker Bully is going to move, pivot, and then move again. The Warrior Chariots are going to move back, being mindful of charge radius. The Sergeant is going to pivot ever so slightly, just trying to get a better angle. The Boomers are going to move back. The Hunters are going to declare a charge, going over the obstacle, so they will be hindered. Namagarok is going to move up to support. Over on the left flank, the Warrior Chariots are going to reposition on top of the hill. The Hunters are then going to pivot and move. The Berserker Braves are also going to move up as well, and the Mammoth will move up to support, and so will the Rabble moving forward as well. Shooting phase opens up for the Ogres. Namagarok will cast a heal 4, but he gets one more die, so it's a heal 5. This will go on to the Boomers, needing 4. He only gets 1, so not helping them much. The Ogre Warlock will then cast Drain Life. He does have Conjurer Staff, so he gets a reroll. That will result in 2 wounds out of 6 dice, and then he needed 3s to do wounds there. And now we dive into combat. The Hunters attack the Warriors. 18 attacks, they are hindered, so on 4s. 11 of these will hit. 3s will be needed to wound, and that will result in 8 wounds. A 10 would be needed to do something to this unit, and that fails. And then over on the flank, the Lone Wolf charged into the weapons team. He will get triple attacks, so 18 attacks going out here. 14 of these will hit, needing 3s, and he is crushing 2. So on 3s, that's going to result in a lot of wounds, so double 1s, and Kryza is nearby inspiring them, and it's popped once and twice. And I do like the gentleman's move here. That die was barely cocked. He's rolling it back out to give him an opportunity to have that weapons team stick around. This is a quick overview of the board as we go right into turn 3. And back over to the Ratkin. Mother Kryza charges in after a countercharge from these warriors into the Lone Wolf. The Broodmother is going to move and attempt to drain life here in a minute. That does kick off Radiance on these warriors who stay in combat. The weapons teams are going to move as well, bringing that Berserker Bully into good range, and the Lone Ranger is going to pivot. The Demon Spawn is going to move, hoping to get a charge off potentially on the next turn, and then we are going into the shooting phase. Cloak of Death triggers a wound on the Lone Wolf, and then Lightning Bolt from the Demon Spawn into the Boomers, needing 4s, 3 hits, and 2 wounds. The weapons teams then fire into the Berserker Bully. 10 shots from the first, and this is a terrible roll. Only 2 hits will go through on 10 dice, and that will at least result in 2 wounds. The second weapons team fires out a bit better this time, 7 hits, and this is going to result in 5 wounds at piercing 1. So we're going to move over to the Broodmother, Drain Life going into Namagarok. All of these will hit, and then needing 3s, that will result in 4 wounds, and these will go on to the Warriors, healing them back down to 5 wounds. Next up, Claw Shots will shoot at Namagarok as well as piercing 2. He's defense 5, so 10 shots going out. That results in 3 hits and 3 wounds. The last unit of Claw Shots to the Hunters across the board, 5 shots. That will result in 2 hits and 2 wounds. And then the Lone Ranger will fire at the Bully. He gets 5 shots. He did technically move, so we'll be on 4s. 3 hits go through, and then 3 wounds that will put him on double 1s to stick around. Into nerf checks, the Berserker Bully is gone. The Boomers, we roll out for them twice, and they are going to be gone. And then we roll for the Broodmother, also gone, re-rolling that out for Inspiring. And then the Hunters, just to see if they can be wavered. No, they can't. And we dive right into combat as Mother Kryza attacks the Lone Wolf. 5 attacks on 3s. She's crushing 2. She gets 2 hits. That results in 1 wound. The Warriors will then attack in the front on 5s. 12 dice will result in 9 hits. What a great roll here. But only 3 wounds come around. So we will roll for nerve on the Lone Wolf. And that is going to result in double 6s. But he is self-inspiring, so get to re-roll this back out, and the Lone Wolf is going to stick around. Now moving to the center of the board, Warriors will attack the Hunters. They will be on 6s due to Ensnare, even though they countercharged. 25 attacks, needing 6s. He's going to get 5 of these that go through. That results in 4 wounds, and the Hunters are going to roll for nerve. They're going to be just fine. And a quick look at the board as we go to the bottom of turn 3, and the Ogres are up. The Lone Wolf can get out of this combat. He can see the Claw Shots, and he is going to get a successful charge off onto them. Cuzlo is going to cast a regen here. 2 are going to be good. He is going to move and pivot. The hunters, they are going to take a charge hindered into the rear of this regiment of warriors. That should be easy work for them. The warlock is going to pivot and move. The chariots are going to move up slightly and pivot. The sergeant is going to move up slightly and pivot and move again. And then we've got Berserker Braves. They are going to move up, being mindful of charge range, maybe getting a charge off next turn. Chariots are going to move up slightly. The Mammoth is going to shuffle over, and the Red Goblin Blaster is going to pivot and move up as well. That concludes movement into the shooting phase. Namagara casts a heal 5 onto the hunters, looking for 4s. Only 1 will be successful, and that's all the shooting that we have this time. So moving into combat, the hunters into the warriors, 18 attacks. They will hit on 4s. 8 of these will be successful. They are crushing 1 with vicious, so they do get to re-roll 1s. That will be 5 wounds on that unit. They need an 11 on the nerve, as they now have 10 wounds on them, and that unit will be just fine. The nerve on the warriors, we're just going to go ahead and do that, as they did get charged into the rear, rolling it once and rolling it twice. That warrior regiment is off the board. The hunters will then do a reform on that flank, and then we move to the Lone Wolf, where it is throwing attacks at the claw shots, 6 to be exact, hitting on 3s. 4 of these will be successful, also crushing 1 and vicious. That results in 2 wounds. The nerve roll is low, and that unit is good. The Rat Fiend will announce a charge into the Berserker Braves. The other Rat Fiend is going to charge into the rear of these hunters, and then the claw shots, they are going to countercharge into the Lone Wolf. We've got some warriors that are going to reposition into the woods here. The Broodmother is going to move up, no doubt looking to cast Drain Life again. Radiance does trigger on these warriors, so they will regain a wound. The Demon Spawn is then going to announce a charge into the flank of these hunters. The Tunnel Runners are going to pivot and move forward to reposition. We've then got a weapons team. They're going to pivot, move, and pivot again. These guys are nimble. The Lone Ranger is going to move up. We've got a weapons team that is also going to move as well. And then we are going to go into the shooting phase, where claw shots are going to go out, 2 of them at Namagarak. He does have cover, so these will need 5s. So 10 shots go out, needing 5s due to cover, and 5 of these are going to hit. That's going to result in 5 wounds with piercing 2. We've then got a weapons team that shoots on 5s. 10 dice go out, 3 hit, and then 4s will result in 1 wound. The Lone Ranger then shoots. He is elite, and he will miss. Drain Life shoots out from the Brood Mother. 5 dice go out, and that will result in 2 Conjure Staff, allowing a reroll and no wounds. So the nerve check on Namagarak times 2, rerolling that back out. He is going to be wavered as the result. Moving into melee, we've got claw shots attack the Lone Wolf, needing 5s. 5 dice go out, results in 2 hits. 5s are also needed to wound, so 2 wounds go out. And then the roll for nerve is a 7. That's a total of 14, which is a waiver. Then Mother Kryza, she gets 5 attacks on 3s. It results in 3 hits, and then that results in 3 wounds, defense 4. The nerve roll is an 8, and then she has 6 wounds, so 14. That is a waiver as well. The Rat Fiend, crushing 2, he will hit on 4s. 10 dice go out, 6 hits, and then needs 2s on these hunters. That results in 6 wounds. A 5 is rolled out on the nerve, so they are just fine. The other Rat Fiend will then attack as well. Does have Strider, so hitting on 3s, 10 more attacks going out, gets 6 or 7 hits, results in 6 wounds, and they are just fine as well. And moving to the center of the board, the Warriors will attack the Hunters. They are ensnared, so they will hit on 6s. Still a good dice roll by Steven here. He gets 7 hits. And rolling these out again, needing 4s, that results in 3 wounds. But we also have the Demon Spawn into the flank, and after seeing this come out, we're just going to skip right on to the nerve. There is no Inspiring close by, and that unit is going to be off the board. And the Demon Spawn is going to move forward. A quick reform by the Warriors will bring this to the end of the Ratkin turn. And we are going to move to the bottom of the turn now for the Ogres. And going to roll a quick regen for Cuzlo. And he is going to get 3 wounds back. The Mammoth is going to charge into the flank of the Rat Fiend. A counter charge from the Hunters into their Rat Fiend. The Chariots are going to take a flank on their Rat Fiend as well. The Warlock is going to move back. The Rabble is going to pivot using the terrain to their advantage here if they get charged. The Sergeant is going to charge across the board into a weapons team. And then Chariots are going to move. The Red Goblin Blaster is also going to move. The Lone Wolf, in a bit of a cheeky move here, is going to disengage, pivot, and then move back, getting out of line of sight of those claw shots. And then Cuzlo will do the same on Mother Kryza. And with no shooting, we're going to dive right into combat. We're just going to roll Nerve on this first Rat Fiend. He's outside of Inspiring, so he is gone. They will do a quick reform on this Mammoth, as well as the Berserker Braves. The Hunters will then get 18 attacks on their Rat Fiend. They need 3s, followed by 3s. And this dice roll is going to result in 12 hits. And needing 3s again to wound, they will get 10 wounds. They need an 8, and they do have Brutal, and that is going to be enough to pop that unit. The Sergeant will then get 15 attacks going into the weapons team. He will hit on 4s, and the result of this dice roll is going to be 8 hits. And then he needs 3s to do wounds, and the result is going to be 5 wounds. Rolling out the Nerve roll, they are going to be wavered, and he's going to use his Lone Wolf reroll here on one of these dice that turns into a rout. But wait a minute, Steven's got Inspiring close by. There's a reroll for Inspiring, and the result is a 5. It is back to wavered. That brings us to the end of turn 4, and if you thought that turn was interesting, turn 5 is about to get even more so. So Kryza is going to move Trigger Cloak of Death. This puts a wound on Cuzlo and the Hunters. The Warriors are going to attempt to charge into the Mammoth, but upon further review, they can't fit. So these guys are going to move back, and some other moves will take place. The Tunnel Runners will reposition, being mindful of the line of sight from the Sergeant there and the Chariots. The weapons team is going to move, and then a countercharge will take place into the Sergeant. The Broodmother is going to move, which is going to free up the Warriors to then charge into the Rabble flank. And then the Demon Spawn is going to move slightly out of the way. The weapons team is going to go take that move back, and they're instead going to move forward and reposition. And this will free up Warriors to charge into the front of the Rabble as well, although they will be hindered due to going through the terrain. And then the Lone Ranger is going to move up as well. In the shooting phase, Mother Kryza has a Lightning Bolt going into the Hunters. 5 dice going out needing 4s, results in 4 hits and 3 wounds. Then Claw Shots are going to go into those Hunters as well. 5 more shots go out, results in 4 hits, and Piercing 2, anything but, will result in 4 wounds and officially put those Hunters on snakes. Then the Broodmother in the center is going to cast Drain Life going on the Berserkers, and it does have Conjuring Staff, allowing a reroll. 5 hits results in 2 wounds. And then we've got the Lone Ranger will shoot into the Red Goblin Blaster with 5 shots. He does have Elite, so getting to reroll 1s. That results in 4 hits and 3 wounds. The weapons team then targets the blaster. 10 dice go out, needing 4s, 6 hits, and that results in 3 wounds. We then have claw shots that go into the blaster as well on 5s due to cover. That results in 2 hits and 1 wound, and then more claw shots come out, this time no cover, results in 5 hits, and then 3 wounds. And then we're going to take Nerve on the Chariots. They will be good. But let's go down to the banner cam for the roll on the Berserker Braves.
Holy boys. No Inspire?
Wow.
Pummeling them off, boys. Pummeling them.
Needed 9 rounds.
Hunters here.
That'll do it.
Good boy. boy. Good job, boy.
And there you have it. One, you can see the conditions I'm recording this footage in, and two, those Berserker Bullies got popped, as so did the Hunters on the other flank. Now we've got some hindered warriors that have charged into the Goblin Rabble, and we're rolling these out because they hit on 6s. The first group of 25 attacks results in 5 hits. That will subsequently turn into 3 wounds. They are defense 4. The next batch of 25 results in 3 hits, and then 2 wounds. And then the last batch of 25 results in 5 more hits and 4 more wounds. The nerve check is rolled up. It is a 6, and I believe they are outside of inspiring, so that unit will go off the board. A quick reform from these units will bring us to the bottom of turn 5. And starting back over for Jeff, the Lone Wolf is going to charge into the flank of one of these claw shots. Cuzlo is going to move and roll for regens. 4 of these will be successful. We've then got the Sergeant who's mounted. He is going to charge into the Lone Ranger. And then we've got that Red Goblin Blaster. It is going to charge a weapons team that is within range. We have Warrior Chariots over on the right flank that will charge the other weapons team. The Mammoth is going to charge into the Warriors. The Chariots are going to charge into Broodmother on the left flank. The Warlock is going to move up, probably looking to cast a heal. And that will be all for movement. We go into shooting where Kuzlo is going to cast Hex on Kryza. And this is basically just to stop her from casting. There will be a heal that is casted from the Warlock going on to the Mammoth. And this will give that Mammoth Vicious. And then we're going to head down to the banner cam for some more interesting commentary.
9 attacks from a... You guys want me to snake this?
Snake it.
Okay.
See what happens if you roll low enough.
Checking nerve here.
Sure, that'd be D6 class. Hitting on 3s.
Double ones. Alright, we're just gonna say
You gotta be me!
And at this point, you would feel for him, but, you know, it is Jeff, so... Anyway, continuing into the combat phase, the Red Goblin Blaster obviously explodes. Nerve on the weapons team, just going to go ahead and take that, and they're going to fail, so they're off the board. That unit of Chariots will then reform. The Sergeant is going to attack the Lone Ranger, and he's going to hit on 3s. 5 attacks going out with the Blade of Slashing, which means he gets to re-roll one of these. That results in 2 hits. He is crushing 2, results in 2 wounds. The nerve check is taken, and that is good. The Mammoth then attacks, 12 attacks going into the Warriors, and that results in 8 hits, and Jeff invoking Pizza Jesus on this one. It is vicious. He gets to reroll 1s. It results in 8 wounds, and he is also brutal, and that unit will be popped once, but we do have to reroll from inspiring. Jeff really nervous on this roll, invoking all Pizza Jesus has to offer, and that unit will be popped again.
The pie, the slice, the bite.
We then move over to the Chariots on the other flank, and they will hit on 4s. They are hindered, and their shots will result in 5 hits against the Broodmother. They are crushing 1 against defense 5, so 4s are needed. Results in 3 wounds, and that was on the first batch. The second batch will result in 6 hits and 6 wounds. It's a total of 9, and they do have Brutal, and it is a pop, re-rolled out, and the Broodmother will be off the table. And then to conclude combat, the Lone Wolf is attacking into the claw shots on 3s, results in 5 hits and 3 wounds. The nerve check is lower on this one, so that unit will be fine, and that brings turn 5 to a close. We are moving back over to the Ratkin for the top of turn 6. Okay, Steven's turn 6. Warriors charge into the Chariots. The Tunnel Runners will then charge into the Chariots. The weapon team is going to move forward. The Lone Ranger is going to move out of arc from the Sergeant. And then Kryza is going to move, giving Inspiring to the Warriors as the Demon Spawn repositions. In the shooting phase, the claw shots are going to go into the Sergeant, and they'll take 5 shots. They will get 3 hits, and they are piercing 2. That results in 1 wound. And then the Demon Spawn is going to cast a Lightning Bolt. Once again, 5 more shots, results in 3 hits and 2 wounds. More claw shots from Steven's deployment zone. The only target they have is Kuzlo over there on the flank. So 5 more shots will go out, results in 4 hits. And then 3 wounds. We take nerve checks across the board, starting with Cuslow and then moving across to the sergeant. Everyone is good. And then we are going to move into some melee. And we'll start with the warriors going into their chariots. 25 attacks. They are hindered, however, so they need 6s. They only get 3 hits out of this batch, and that will result in 0 wounds. We then have the tunnel runners. They have 24 attacks. They will hit on 4s. 9 of these will hit, which is certainly well below average. They are crushing 1, so on 4s to wound, they'll do a total of 3 wounds. But these chariots have 7 wounds on them already. That takes them up to 10 total. So a 7 will be needed on the nerve in order to pop this unit. The first roll is good. However, Inspiring is close by, and Steven hits a 7 on the dot, and the chariots are off the board. All right, over for the Ogres. The Sergeant will charge into the Warriors. The Mammoth will charge into the Demon Spawn. The Warlock will move, and Cuslow charges into Mother Kryza. There will be a heal that goes out on the Sergeant just to give him Vicious, and he will get all of his wounds back on these 3 4s. The Lone Wolf will attack the claw shots on 3s. There will be 4 hits. That results in 3 wounds. And the nerve roll comes out, and it pops that unit. The Sergeant will then attack with 15 attacks on 3s, and he is crushing 2. This results in 11 hits. And on 3s to wound, 6 wounds. And with the chariots countercharging as well, I think they got double-digit wounds. So we skip over to nerve, and these warriors will be taken off the board, and we will see a quick reform from the sergeant, as well as the chariots pushing a bit further forward towards the center. And now we are going to skip over to the mammoth, where he has charged into the demon spawn. 12 attacks, hitting on 4s. That results in 7 hits. 5 wounds will come across. A nerve check is taken on that demon spawn, and he is good. That wraps up turn 6. We are quickly moving over to turn 7, as this is turning into a lengthy battle report. We have the Lone Ranger. He is going to move. Kryza is going to charge into the Sergeant. The Tunnel Runners are also going to charge the Sergeant. And the Weapons team is going to reposition, along with the Demon Spawn. In the shooting phase, a lightning bolt comes out, 5 shots, and it will result in 3 hits, and that turns into 3 wounds. We then have claw shots that are firing at the chariots. Doesn't result in any hits, needing 5s. Nerve check taken there, and it's all good. Quickly going into combat, Kryza gets 15 attacks in the rear on this Sergeant. Needs 4s here, and that results in 9 hits. She is crushing 2, so 3s are needed, and that gets 5 wounds. The nerve roll comes across, and it is a waiver, but Steven is going to use his Lone Wolf reroll here to reroll one of those dice back out. It pops the unit, and Jeff then uses Inspiring. He does have that close by, as a reroll is needed, and a pop is rolled on the dot. Moving back over for Jeff and the Ogres, Cuslow is going to move. The Warlock is also going to reposition, and he is quickly going to cast Heal on the Chariots to give them Vicious. Or I take that back. I think he actually cast Banechant. Long story short, Kryza will be eliminated on this turn. The Weapons team will also be eliminated, and that will bring us to the end of this game. As a side note, I think I missed the move where the Mammoth charged into that Weapons team, which caused it to get eliminated. But the end of the game results ends up being a 10-10 draw, so could not get any closer than that for either side. So Steven would go on to play the final game at Table 1, while Jeff was at Table 2. Jeff would end up winning the tournament with his Ogres, led by Sir Jesse. I hope you enjoyed this Kings of War battle report. I do have another one coming up, which is the top table. Thank you to my 2021 Coffee Supporters Club. I do this all for love of the hobby, but if you would like to buy me a coffee or a frothy beverage, a link will be in the description below. This is a one-off thing. It is not subscription related. I hope you enjoyed this game and look forward to seeing you in the next one as we come back to Table 1.